Hello, I'm Elena Tobo.
And I'm Michaela Hood. Welcome to your Wildcat News. Our top story tonight is a loss here in our Wildcat community. UK student Ann Gieske was killed in a crowd surge in South Korea over the weekend. She was a junior nursing student studying abroad this semester. Flowers now cover the area where over 150 people died in the surge that happened when a crowd of people celebrating Halloween pushed a narrow area. Gieske was a member of the UK Catholic Newman Center. The center is holding a prayer service tomorrow at 7:15 p.m. For more information, you can visit their Instagram at Catholic Wildcats. Opioid companies settled for $26 billion earlier this year for their role in the opioid pandemic. Renardo Johnson has more on how Kentucky plans to use their portions.
The Kentucky Opioid Abatement Advisory Commission had their 5th town hall meeting since the start of the summer. They wanted to hear from people in the community about their struggles and what they want to change. Recovering addicts, families that have lost loved ones to drug overdoses, and healthcare officials all shared their stories. The majority of them want better treatment centers for people struggling with addiction.
Yeah, because what I'm hearing not only they want sober living, but they want safe, sober living.
A report done by the Kentucky Office of Drug Control Policy found a 14% increase in drug overdose deaths in 2021 over 2020, and over 90% of those overdoses involved opioids. And according to that same data, southeastern Kentucky has been hit especially hard with having the highest drug overdose rates in the state. There are many factors impacting addiction, such as family history, poverty, and mental illness, but it can affect anyone.
Who would suspect that heroin would come to our house? But the thing about it is, drugs don't care where you live, how much money you have or don't have. They don't discriminate.
There are 2 more town hall meetings this year, the next being in Bowling Green next Wednesday on November 9th. More information on the meetings can be found at ag.ky.gov. In Lexington, Renardo Johnson, Wildcat News.
It's election season, but college students are facing issues when it comes to voting. Elena Tobo sat down with Mia LaPointe to discuss the many factors that come to play while voting as a college student and her perspective on the upcoming election. Here's Elena Tobo with the latest news.
The 2022 midterm elections are drawing near. However, college students face many challenges while attempting to vote.
In America, you're not taught how to vote. It's just assumed that you know it the second you turn 18.
Amidst a busy college schedule, out-of-state students find trouble in requesting absentee ballots or having to take a flight or drive back to their home to vote.
It's so easy to miss the deadline and so hard to be able to not only request your ballot, but make sure your ballot is correct, because there have been numerous cases where your absentee ballot was in some way incorrect, and therefore that would void your entire vote.
However, if a student cannot make it to their state, all of the University of Kentucky out-of-state students can legally vote in the state of Kentucky since they live here temporarily.
So we have a real chance this election, especially, and in the future, to kind of turn that around and have our voices truly heard in these next few elections.
Election Day is next Tuesday, November 8th, but if you can't get to the polls that day, you have options this week to cast your ballot. No excuse in-person absentee voting starts tomorrow, November 3rd, and ends Saturday, November 5th. In Fayette County, the Lexington Senior Center at 195 Life Lane hosts this service from 8:30 a.m. until 4:30 p.m. To find your Election Day polling location, visit electky.gov. With flu season in full swing, the Lexington Fayette County Health Department is offering free flu, COVID-19, and monkeypox vaccines. They're taking same-day appointments every Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday. To schedule a flu or COVID vaccine, call 859-288-2483. To schedule a monkeypox vaccine, register at www.vaccines.gov. lfchd.org/monkeypox.
This week, 2 police officers in Fayette and Laurel counties were hit by cars in separate accidents. Early Sunday morning, London police officer Logan Metlock was hit and killed by a drunk driver. The driver is charged with driving under the influence and murder of a police officer. Monday morning, a Nicholasville officer was hit by a car while directing traffic. He was wearing a vest, but the driver did not see him. He was taken into the hospital on Monday and is expected to be okay.
Paul Pelosi, the husband of House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, is recovering from an attack at his home last week. Paul Pelosi had brain surgery after being hit with a hammer multiple times. He has a skull fracture and injuries to his hands and arms. Speaker Nancy Pelosi says he is making steady progress but is in for a long recovery. The intruder was looking for the speaker, who was in Washington, D.C. at the time of the attack in California. He has pleaded not guilty to all state charges against him. A case regarding affirmative action went before the Supreme Court on Monday. The justices are reviewing decades of precedent allowing race to be one of the multiple factors included in college admission consideration. Some members of the court were looking into potential race-neutral admissions criteria to support diversity if affirmative action policies were to be reversed. A decision from the court is expected in June. The richest man in the world now owns Twitter. Elon Musk, the CEO of Tesla Motors, founder of SpaceX, and co-founder of Neuralink and OpenAI, paid $44 billion this week to become the owner of Twitter. The social media platform is now a private site. Musk introduced his plan for a subscription service through a series of tweets that would allow anyone to gain a blue verification check mark for just $8 a month, called Twitter Blue.
Russia has continued its drone strikes on Ukraine. As of this morning, Ukraine's Air Force said it has shot down 12 out of the 13 Iranian-made drones that Russia sent over during the night. According to the Pentagon press secretary, the U.S. has concerns that Russia may be seeking additional advanced weapons from Iran. Of these advanced weapons, Iran's new combat drone, the Arash-2, is expected to be sent to the Russian military, which has just completed its draft of 300,000 soldiers. Spain has donated 30 ambulances to Ukraine to help amidst the ongoing attacks. North Korea has fired off 23 missiles today, the most they've ever fired in a single day. The missiles were launched to the east and west of the entire Korean Peninsula. North Korea's weapon testing came to international borders with one short-range ballistic missile, which landed 167 kilometers northwest of South Korea's Ulleung-do Island, and another ballistic missile which landed close to Japan's coast. 135 people were killed in a bridge collapse this Sunday in India's Gujarat state. The Morbi Suspension Bridge was a historic landmark that allowed pedestrians to cross over the Machu River. The 137-year-old bridge was just reopened following repairs on the October 26th and collapsed on October 30th. The Morbi Bridge is under investigation so authorities can understand why it collapsed, and 9 people have been arrested for their suspected role in the incident.
Though Hispanic Heritage Month has ended, the Wildcat community continues to honor the lives of those who have gone before us during the Day of the Dead, better known as Dia de los Muertos. The holiday is celebrated every year on November 1st and 2nd and follows a series of days meant to piece together an altar of memories of loved ones and the lives they lived on Earth. People from the UK community and Greater Lexington are invited to participate in the Celebration of Life Vigil tonight by visiting the Big Blue Ofrenda at the Gatton Student Center staircase. The ofrenda will be open for visitors for the next 2 weeks.
Coming up on Wildcat News, Genevieve Lund has this week's weather forecast, and Ian Albano has your sports update.
We'll be right back.
Yo, camping buddy. Okay, you guys ready? thought you were driving.
I thought you were driving.
Oh, I never said I was driving.
I definitely can't drive.
If you're high, just don't drive. It's illegal everywhere. If you feel different, you drive different.
Hey, Bobo, do trees tell each other stories?
I'm sorry. I'm afraid I don't know that.
Hey, why don't we go find out? Listen.
Do clouds take naps?
I couldn't tell you.
Dad, do stars visit their friends?
Look!
I'm a first-generation Filipino American. You don't always feel you're a part of the country you live in. It's this weird middle space sometimes that you have to live inside of. But when you meet others that are also living in that space, you'll learn to know that that is its own unique space too.
Hi, I'm Genevieve Lund, and currently outside it is 64 degrees. It's a cool average day here in the Bluegrass for fall because there's winds coming from the northeast from New York. Currently tonight there will be some chances of sprinkle that will go out throughout the evening. If we're looking at tonight, the temperature will drop to our lowest this week at 47 degrees, so bundle up. Tomorrow morning will be a little different. Around 10 a.m. up till that time there will be about a patchy fog. But then things will clear up later throughout the day as it gets a sunny, warm day, which will start trending throughout this week because there will be winds coming from the southeast from Florida. And if you look here, the temperatures will get up to 73 degrees and it will get down to 52 tomorrow night. Looking at our 5-day forecast, if we step to the side here on Wednesday, you see it starts as the coolest day and it will warm up throughout the week. There will be a trend throughout this week as it will be upper 70s with lows being and hitting upper 50s. This makes us question that because it's so hot, is it really the first week of November here in the Bluegrass? Don't forget to bundle up with a rain jacket this Saturday. As 2 p.m. there will start to be breezes and sprinkles of showers up until Sunday afternoon, which will trickle on until Monday. We're hoping that this won't last because the Breeders' Cup will be hosted here in Lexington and we'd love to have some great weather for that. That's all for your Wildcat weather this week. Let's check out with sports.
Thank you, Genevieve. This week, we're taking a look at a special self-defense club right here on campus. UK Kempo Club is the UK's self-defense club. It began in 1993, but then shut down. Now they're back to teach students and anyone else who wants to learn their ways. Ashley Powers is the president of the club.
We meet on UK's Alumni Gym mat room every Monday and Wednesday from 6:30 to 8:30. We practice multiple different types of self-defense. Chip's a great instructor. It's a great class. We learn a lot. We learn a lot of history about our self-defense techniques and make a lot of good friends.
Instructor Chip Sebastian teaches karate, jiu-jitsu, and self-defense with weapons. While it is common to hear about tournaments for many of these martial arts forms, competition is not the goal of the Kempo Club.
We do teach pure self-defense, which means that we are not sport-oriented. So we do have people come in and inquire about cage fighting, MMA-style stuff, competition, tournament. We just don't do sport. We're interested in self-defense.
The UK Kempo Club has grown but wants to continue to reach new people and increase their club membership.
We started from almost nothing, it just being kind of Chip and the student body kind of coming together and building us up. So we definitely have big goals, and we definitely encourage everyone to come no matter what. I've had back injuries before and I'm able to work through that, and we're very accommodating and very welcoming to all.
The Breeders' Cup is back in Lexington this week. Keeneland will be the site for this prestigious race, which will boast the top-ranked horse in the world. Flightline is currently the favorite for the weekend, sitting at 3-5 odds. Kentucky Derby winner Rich Strike will also be running this Saturday and has the second highest odds for taking home the cup at 20-1. Rich Strike was an 80-1 underdog at Churchill Downs earlier this year, so we'll see if he can shock the world again at Keeneland. Post time is scheduled for 5:40 p.m. this Saturday. It was a night of smiles and celebrations for the Kentucky men's soccer team. The number 2 ranked Wildcats capped off their first undefeated regular season in program history after a 3-0 win versus South Carolina. Kentucky also won the outright regular season title in the Sun Belt Conference with the shutout of the Gamecocks. An 11-0-5 record sees the Wildcats as one of 3 Division I teams that remain undefeated. UK gets to stay at home as they host the first 2 rounds of the conference tournament, which will get underway on November 6th. Finally, our football team takes on the Missouri Tigers at Mizzou this Saturday at noon. That's it for your Wildcat Sports. We'll be right back.
All right, let's go. Anytime you're driving, have the seatbelt buckled tight. Both hands on the wheel and your phone out of sight. When not in your hand, trying to text somebody back. Because if you do, your car might get smacked. The moral of the story, just put your phone down. The people on the road will stay safe and sound. Put your phone down, put your phone down. People on the road will stay safe and sound. Yeah.
The family's visit to the forest inspired a beautiful question. Mother, mother, am I a tree? You tell me to stand tall. You tell me to stay rooted. I think I am a tree. My child, of course you are. But what kind of tree will you be? The kind to hug or the kind to climb? Doesn't matter what you choose, so long as you choose to be a tree that's kind.
Make the forest part of your story at a park near you. Find one at discovertheforest.org.
If you need to do something to feel okay to drive, you're not okay to drive. Don't drive buzzed.
Mr. Monopoly passed on his way through Kentucky last week to announce that Lexington will get its very own Monopoly board game.
Grace Hager has more.
There's no type of nostalgia quite like a board game, except maybe a board game modeled after your hometown. The Monopoly team visited Lexington last week to announce the city will get its own Monopoly game. As you travel around the board, you will pass local businesses and iconic landmarks such as Keeneland and the Distillery District. Mary Quinn Raymer is the president of Visit Lex.
I think there's a love for and a nostalgia for playing games the old way, if you will. And I think Monopoly has such a strong brand identity really all across this globe. And so I'm really delighted that Lexington will be represented on its own board. And the great thing is once you buy the board and have it in your collection, you have it for always. So anytime you pull it out, it'll be a constant reminder of this city and the special place that it is.
Monopoly wanted to highlight the heart of the nation for their latest game. Luckily for Lexington, they had a Kentucky native working on the Hasbro team. Tim Barney really sold the bluegrass to them.
I was like, you guys thought about Lexington? And they were like, well, tell us more. And so we kind of pivoted and we decided to go after Lexington for all the great reasons you guys probably already know. You have a really wonderful heritage, lots of history. You got beautiful landscapes, amazing attractions, and then you really do exemplify the essence of the word community.
Until mid-December, the company will be taking suggestions for which landmarks should be featured on the board. Do not pass go until you email your picks to lexington@toptrumps.com. The board is set to be released in July of 2023. In Lexington, Grace Hager, Wildcat News.
Wow, that's so cool. What landmarks do you think you would like on our Monopoly board?
I don't even know. Maybe Rupp Arena?
Yeah, I was thinking something along the lines of Kroger Field. I mean, what would it be without sports, you know?
Right.
That would be so cool. Well, that's all we have for your Wildcat News for today.
Join us again next week for the election news and more. Thanks for joining us. Have a great night.